2, 3, 4. In this podcast, you will hear Knights of Vader. Knights of Vader includes, but is not limited to, talk of Star Wars, not ray guns. We can't truly prepare you for the jump that follows this song, but hey, we gave it a try. So here's the Knights of Vader. Crystal Fox report they are divided. Prequel, sequel, canon, love they fighted. I know that we are just musicians hired, and their time is up. So here's the Knights of Vader.
Impressive. Most impressive.
A big thank you to An Insperiority Complex providing our theme song. It is Revenge of the Sith 2021. And my name is Zach Weber, but joining me today is Zenger, host of the non-competing podcast, Zeng Wars. I don't even want to, oh God, I think I have to wash my mouth out now after saying that. Zenger?
I believe I'm supposed to be referred to as Grand Admiral.
Admiral Zenger. No, you know what? You're not. You're like Porkins X-Wing pilot after you get competing podcast of mine now.
It's a competing it's a sub-podcast within its own existing podcast.
I will not tolerate
this. You get to 250 episodes and we'll see if you look so good.
Okay. And we have our Echo equivalent on this podcast, Joe.
Hey, what's going on? Thanks.
And we have a Canadian Star Wars collector who plans on doing something this episode that we kindly touched upon before we started recording, Chris Porteous.
Happy to be here. I'm pretty jazzed up. I got some Mandalorian retro collection figures today. I got a Republic gunship like a month ago. Like, oh my God, it's crazy. I'm having the best time.
Hey, I got a retro figure too the other day. I got Mando himself.
They're pretty fun. I fully endorse them.
I have no clue where Ellie put it.
Did you find Gina Carano?
No, I did not. Oh, no. Go ahead. Neither of us did.
No, neither of us did. I mean, they had plenty of everybody else.
Might be something after eBay.
Before we carry on, I would like to, on the exact subject of that, I would like to state that I went to a Toys R Us today, which here in Ontario, you still have to telephone them from the outside and ask what they have because you can't go in yet. And the guys said, well, it looks like we got 9, but I only see 7 here. I gotta go bother the other guys and see who hid the other 2, which are clearly the Gina Carano's. But he didn't follow through with his joking attempt at hassling the other store employees where they hid the Gina Carano's, but Toys R Us employees be hiding Gina Carano's.
Jeez Louise, Toys R Us people who don't exist in the United States anymore.
Oh, they're coming back soon.
Yeah, but not in the same way.
Yeah,
but not in the way that Chris has them.
Yeah, we still got the real ones here.
Oh, I miss me some Toys R Us.
Can't go inside them though.
Blind indifference.
What they should do is they should fit like a camera on every single one of the store employees, like a cop, and you can see exactly what.
He laughed about it like he knew it was happening, like all the time.
Oh my God! Oh, I can't wait for the absolute disaster that is the Clone Wars figures when they go up on Target. Like, I know everybody's just going ballistic for those right now. Everyone's just waiting. And I even tried getting the clone shock trooper on Walmart today, and apparently that went out of stock immediately in 3 seconds. And I'm I at least got my Luke and Leia lightsabers, so I am happy.
Yeah, those Black Series Clone Wars went up on Toys R Us's site today, and I think only the one that looks like a pilot sold out.
Wait, only the pilot sold out?
I think so. At least last I checked.
That's crazy. I figured I'd be the only one that wouldn't sell out.
Either that or they just messed up how they posted it.
Well, I figured Obi-Wan. I figured obviously Echo would go first because it's an ARC trooper. Then it would be Obi-Wan Anakin. And then it'd be the pilot and nobody knows.
Yeah, but it's a weird clone armor, and also the much like how the old Republic trooper won the vintage collection vote, people do love their vaguely clone armor variants.
God damn right it did. I told you, you know how I knew that was going to win? Because it's like like a very, very out there like EU figure. Like the expanded universe people went like basically rallied the troops again. This was like another Ben Skywalker. Like they had him win like the fans' choice poll.
It was Jaina Solo, but and also there's like nothing funnier than Jaina Solo winning in like whatever it was 2017 or 18.
It was 16. It came out in 20. Oh yeah, that was great. No, what happened was Jaina Solo won the second year. What happened was because after how the like EU Legends people like basically got what they wanted the first time, they got like Revan and they got Jaina, and they're like, okay, let's pick another character that conflicts with the sequel trilogy. And that's when like basically Yak Face, like all your different like Star Wars collecting sites started to step in and started to like specifically remove those names and be like, we are not going to count these names. And everyone was like, why? Like Jaina Solo sold out. Like nobody understood why they were sitting there doing this. And the collecting sites just kind of stepped in and just became like arbiters of like what was allowed to become like a vote.
It's
and that
because
drove me nuts.
Yeah, well, those guys are bought and sold, man. You can't trust those guys because they get these sweet packages from Hasbro. Like the one just went out that was like all of the Lucasfilm 50th anniversary figures, like the Black Series and Vintage Collection ones, all in one gigantic box to like all those guys who removed those Ben Solo or Ben Skywalker names off that list.
But
like,
I know what you mean because like I've seen those like forever. But like those, whatever we would call it, goodie bags, care packages, are always like the lamest figures. Like it's the stuff that like you can find like walking into a Toys R Us, or I guess for you Toys R Us, me for a Target, like on a Sunday afternoon. Like it's Imperial hover tank pilot. It's a like, oh god, Dio like figure, like a 10-inch figure. It's like the stuff that like just like basically Big Lots bound. And it's like, I just don't get how that's like, oh, it's worth like not being like a fan outlet. So you can get like basically $80 in figures that you weren't going to buy to begin with because you already had them. Like, well, I never understood selling your soul for that purpose.
I mean, you like, well, there's one guy, I think the guy who does the Jedi business site, he's pretty vocally critical of Hasbro and sometimes gets that stuff anyways. So like maybe you're not shooting yourself in the foot when you complain about stuff. But I know Yak Face got blacklisted. Well, he got blacklisted because like anytime Walmart makes like the slightest mistake with their like inventory listing, he somehow exploits it to like tell everyone what figures it is.
I know. I love it. He was very, very salty last night about like pre-orders going live today. I loved it. But yes, Chris and I could talk forever about the current state of action figure collecting in Star Wars, but that is not why we're here almost 10 minutes later. We are here to talk about the batch of bad. And basically, as we're recording this, we have just the inaugural episode, nothing else, no more, no less. And going around the room, I think we'll begin with Joe, because I think at this point, nobody really knows what Joe's opinions are on Star Wars beyond just Star Wars. Joe, what is your history with the 2008 series? And after you have that explained, what do you think of the Ill Bunch?
The Ill Bunch, well, 2008 series, I have caught a couple of them. I've been watching more and more of them, but it's a lot better, I think, than the original one that came out.
Blasphemy!
Yes, that's a different show. But the Bad Batch, I sat down. You know, I watched the trailer for it before I watched the episode. I was like, okay, this is going to look like it's kind of good, but I kind of seen it somewhere. And then I'm sitting there watching the episode, and I'm like, wait a minute. Okay, this looks very familiar. And then I'm sitting there thinking about it, and I'm going downstairs in my basement, and I sit there and look at some of my old video games, and I'm like, whoa, look, it's Republic Commando. I go, ooh. I go, it's kind of similar to that game. Instead of there only having 4 people, it has 5. I'm like, But be honest with you, though, it was a decent watch. It was something from the 2008 series. I think it was, what was it, the season 7 first episode, the Bad Batch were in it. So it was nice that they show a progression like that. But I think it's too new right now. You're just getting started. You're getting a little bit more of a insight into these characters.
Alrighty, Grand Admiral Zenger.
We have a special guest joining us, though, in mere seconds. I just want to point that out. And he's here.
Oh, no. Oh, man.
Rods on your tape.
Hey, guys, what's up?
It's the man, the myth, the legend. Russ's soundboard is back.
Yes.
Somehow.
Yay!
Somehow the sound. Are you guys doing the show yet?
Yes, we are doing the show, which is perfect. This is a perfect
Oh, hello.
thing.
Hey.
Russ Ryan, everybody, he's back. The owner and operator of the soundboard, which has made a very, very, it's been very aloof lately. I don't think we've heard that since sometime during the Mando discussions.
Yeah, I haven't had it hooked up in so long, and we're getting in all these serious debates about things. And what's really going on with Mandalorian? I forgot all about the fun of the soundboard. And I don't know who else is here, but I just want to give you a good.
Oh God, I never thought I'd reach a point where I missed the soundboard. I remember like back in the summer of 2019, I'd just be pulling my hair out, just being like, God, this thing is driving me nuts. But I miss the soundboard. It's some form of like Stockholm syndrome, I imagine, but I find it endearing now.
Eventually, we know that all the Wookiees are dead.
Yeah, that's the thing. I didn't know you guys were actually already recording, of course.
All these Wookiees are dead. Move to the east. Yes, sir.
Right. That's the original. That's the classic right there.
You forgot that, Chris. It's that all these Wookiees are dead, and you have to figure out what direction you have to move to afterwards.
Wookiees always die in single file to hide their deaths.
Oh God! All right. You know what? Russ kind of just broke in. Russ, what did you think of the Bad Batch?
I'll wait on the sidelines for a minute then.
Yes.
Okay. I thought it was pretty cool. There was one thing in the beginning that kind of took me out a little bit. I don't know why. Did you guys talk about that Padawan in the beginning yet at all?
We haven't gotten there yet. We're just doing our first impression.
At first impression, I enjoyed it. I got some of the characters were a little tiresome, but it was okay. It was all right. It was pretty good.
All right, Grand Admiral Zenger.
So, I mean, big thing to release on May the 4th. I mean, it was huge, came out. I'm just interested to know more about this girl's story. I just can't wait to continue to read more of John Justice's The Rocket Queen, which was a huge thing to come out audiobook on May the 4th. Huge move by John Justice. Very excited to continue his adventure in space. 2 decades have passed since the apocalyptic events on Earth, and they are returning to the happiest place on Earth, but it will turn into that character's worst nightmare. Oh, wait, we're talking about the Bad Batch? Oh, something else released on May the 4th that I should care about? It was okay. I mean, I don't want to say I called what happened, but it's kind of all their programmed emotions. And does not make you intelligent. Thank you. No, I mean it was whatever season we're on of Clone Wars. This isn't the Bad Batch. It's just the Clone Wars continues because, why not?
Well, they had to make that clear by burning the Clone Wars logo in the beginning and be like, look, they're here.
Also, did they redo a retcon did they retcon a retcon that's already been retconned?
You're being more specific.
I was going to ask about
the
that.
Padawan, because I thought there's a comic explaining what happened.
Yes, we'll get
there's a flashback explaining what happens, and now we see what actually happened. Which one? Like what?
It's basically the new form of how did Shakti die? It's the Disney version of that now. We have the same event like in 3 different ways, and it's like they'll figure it out. They'll figure it out. Cowboy Hat Man just has so much going on now. Continuity doesn't really matter anymore.
I just can't wait for it to just be told to us by wolves.
That's gonna be the next incarnation. It's gonna be reenacted by wolves.
That is the truest form of anything Cowboy Hat Man does. If it is told to you by wolves, it is pure canon it is etched in stone. Overall, though, it was fine, great. They're now fighting against the Empire. Cool. We got to this point as fast as possible. So, yay, another story where people can't be evil except for Crosshair because he didn't go away from his emotional programming. Good for him.
Alrighty, Chris, what did you think of the Wild Bunch?
I was so pleasantly surprised by this. I was really like, I was part of that crowd that was like very sort of off put by that second trailer, and I was so glad to see that I was kind of wrong. The kid didn't annoy me as much as I thought it would, and I'm happy to admit that I was wrong so far. And
you keep forgetting to say yet. They haven't annoyed you yet.
Right, but the kid got a lot of screen time in this first episode though, and I liked how they were sort of how like it was just a clone that came out wrong, and they were kind of trying to find something for it to do in the facility, which that's fine. But generally, I thought it was really good. I was glued to it the whole way through, and I can find plenty of things that I really liked about it. And I think the most interesting telling thing about this is that this is a new, theoretically, in massive air quotes, a new series that is centered around characters and these aren't even Disney era characters, the Bad Batch. Like theoretically, it's this group was Lucas's idea, but these episodes never got finished, right? So it's just fun to me that they're going ahead with a 16 episode season of something that was like part of an unfinished arc of the Clone Wars before Disney bought the company. There's something very telling about the processes they undertake to make these decisions with that information. And also, it's just funny and cool that they're going ahead with it. And I thought the first episode was great.
Wow. Who would have thought? Unlikely voice of reason, Chris Porteous. Yeah, I was kind of surprised by how much I enjoyed this. Like, I really had no expectations walking in. I remember last year when we talked about the Bad Batch episodes, I was like, they're kind of so just like over the top. Again, like Zenger made the joke, we have Hulk Bad Batch, we have Smart Bad Batch, we have Rambo Bad Batch.
We have Nerd, yes, of course. Now we have Clobot. I like Clobot's addition to the team.
Yes. But no, like as I was watching this, I was kind of like, I not that I was surprised, like when it first started and we see like Freddie Prinze Jr. voicing a child and he's doing nothing to mask his voice whatsoever. And I'm just like, oh my God. And the whole time, like, I'm just like, wait, didn't they already show this? Like the whole thing that happened with like Caleb Doom, like in a comic, and like Zenger said, like there's like flashbacks of it, I think at one point. And I'm like, didn't they already show this? I'm like, oh God, we're just going to insert the Bad Batch in here because like it's something like nerds on the internet will recognize.
Okay, well, there's one nerd that didn't, because one of my little gripes was that Jedi kid, that Padawan, sounded terrible. Right in the beginning, I'm like, why does he sound like a middle-aged man? He's supposed to be 12. It really threw me off. I didn't put together that's Freddie Prinze.
Yeah, I just want to, like, I'm gonna let you finish, but I just have to point out, I watched this with my girlfriend, and the first comment she made was, "Why does that kid sound like a 50-year-old man?"
Yes.
And I said, "Because it is a 50-year-old man."
So much.
Yeah, no, it's jarring. It takes you out of it. I wish someone could have come to their senses about that, or at least done some version of audio. I know, but whatever. You can have Cowboy Hat Man. Maybe there were some wolves like on the audio mixing like soundboard or something, and they just like went nuts.
Rough last year for Freddie Prinze Jr. So happy he's in the studio. Maybe did this from home. I don't know, but I'm glad that it makes up for it a little bit.
Yeah, but like no, like as I was watching this, I was like again, like Chris said, I was fully engaged with it. No point. I was like, eh. Like even Omega, I really liked her. Like it's kind of obvious where they're going with that character. Once again,
she's gonna turn out to be Rey. Wait, right? That's who that is, right?
That was the all Palpy clone. I mean, who knows?
Again,
it's Rey's mother. That's Rey's mother, right?
Oh, Rey's mom is now. So Rey's grandfather is gonna be Jango Fett, and the Emperor.
Perfect. Wait, hold on a second. If you're cloned from somebody, are you their father that? My brain hurts because is he both her
Russ,
father and her?
Russ, I want to get a clip for the soundboard of Chinatown where Faye Dunaway's like, "She's my sister and my daughter," and just insert that every single time we have another like clone like conversation about parentage.
Wait, can we even call these clones? I don't think anyone in Star Wars knows how cloning works anymore.
I think everyone's just a clone at this point. I think it's kind of like back what like happened like back in the days. Everyone wanted Snoke to be somebody. It's ironic that Snoke turned out to be a clone at the same time.
A messed up clone of Palpatine. Oh, hey, we're so bad at cloning. We cloned this male Jango Fett guy into this blonde-haired chick.
Hold on.
The voice
Hold
down,
on.
though. I couldn't
Listen,
believe how Kiwi. I was like, wow. Cross
only
that bitch.
There's only 5 of them. There's only 5. That's a really high success rate, guys. Like,
Especially
that's not
especially with all of the clones that they made for the Clone Wars. You know, how many did they make?
a million more on the way.
Yeah.
I mean, these are only 5 we saw. There's like batch number negative 99.
It's the only 5. They said it's the only 5 explicitly.
Wasn't there? But wait, wasn't there? Okay, in the Clone Wars series, wasn't there one that was like kind of like the janitor?
Remember but he died. But he died before this.
I know
so he's
he
not
died.
One of the 5.
Is that how it works? If they die, they're not part of the number tally.
Well, you know, they were giving a current inventory to Tarkin. He was not part of it.
Oh, okay.
You sure they didn't say it's only 5s? And they were just like, that's the twist.
No, that's a deep cut reference. But no, like I liked Omega. I thought she was cool. It's obvious that they're gonna make. Oh, is that how we're saying it?
Omega Beam.
That's how she says it.
Omega Beam.
Omega. But yeah, it's obvious she's gonna be force sensitive at some point. The first clone that's force sensitive. So there you go, Zenger. They made Star Killer, but she's a little Kiwi blonde girl. Congratulations.
My rage. Oh, my rage.
But yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed this. I think there's a lot of fun stuff when it comes to like Star Wars and what's going to happen like in the immediate aftermath of Order 66. Like I was saying, the whole fact that the Kaminoans seem to kind of have their own agenda regarding the Empire, just kind of like hanging them out to dry. I love that. Like kind of like we might actually get like the Clone Rebellion they did back in Legends. Like that would be great. Yeah, like everything about this, I think is great. Like so far, it seems very promising. I didn't know until this afternoon that it was going to be 16 episodes.
Yeah, I didn't know until Chris said it just now. I thought it was going to be like 8.
That's fine, Zenger, but we don't listen to you.
Obviously. Also, I got a follow-up thing too. So I love that little roundabout. Oh, since we're like weird variants, that's why we didn't follow Order 66. Also, since Clone Droid over there is like more machine than man, ha ha ha.
Clobot. I'm trying to get that going. Yeah. He's Clone Lobot. He's Lobot.
Clonebot over there technically isn't one of us, so we never include him in anything, but we keep pointing out that he's a reg all the goddamn time. You know, we give him a complex about it. But is it just me, or did we all think that when Order 66 happened, the Bad Batch straight up murderfied whatever Jedi they were near? I mean, that's what should have happened, right? Right?
I think that's the loophole they need. They need them to be the not reg, so they can actually have more clone heroes out of this, because the timeline's caught up so much. Zach, you had to be loving the giant Palpy head yelling at all the clones, right? When he's declaring the Empire, that was pretty great.
Oh, stuff like that is neat. Like again, anytime we get some Palpy is a lot of fun.
And that's the straight audio from the film, right, Chris?
Yep.
Pretty cool, right?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, I can't attest to that though. But like even in the opening,
I can.
Even good for you. Even in the Clone Wars opening, like we sit there get like Revenge of the Sith but animated, and I'm like, I should kind of hate this, but I'm digging it. I even like that.
Does it make you think that they are gonna have the Darth Maul duel in the Obi-Wan series? Like since this is actually the third time we're seeing Order 66 take place.
What do you mean by that?
Like there's a lot of people who say they're not going to show Obi-Wan kill Darth Maul in that series because they'd be redoing something that was already done. But in this first episode, we got 2 examples of them showing something else that already happened from another perspective.
Yeah, and how many times have we seen Shakti die? Exactly. We're gonna see Obi-Wan kill her in that series too.
And then again, I guess Obi-Wan fighting Darth Maul is like farther off in the timeline than the series theorist supposedly takes place. So I guess that sort of spaces it away from that. But it seems like a super like powerful way they could end that Obi-Wan miniseries. But
we all know fight Vader again.
Exactly. Okay, Zenger.
Oh no, they have a redo of him fighting Vader. With
I know, but that's wrong on so many levels. I think I'm just trying to like rationalize how it might not happen that way.
All right, hear me out.
That's wrong on so many levels. But replacing a Force Ghost with hating Christian face is perfectly fine.
Are you like? I don't even like. Okay, so Zenger right now is saying that Sebastian Shaw shouldn't have been replaced by Hayden Christensen. I have I could ask you so many questions about that right now, because like you're the last person I would think would die on that hill. It's like, who is Sebastian Shaw Anakin Skywalker anymore? He's just the old Vader when the helmet comes off. Like, it doesn't make sense.
It's the most it's the most powerful moment. It's the fact that like it's redeemed like Vader. It's redeemed Anakin Skywalker.
It's fine. He still has his best scene. He still has his best scene in all his dialogue.
But Luke doesn't recognize him, and that's not.
He's like, who the crap's that guy? Is it
exactly
Jedi to me?
Plus that's not the Anakin that found redemption. That's the Anakin that like went on a murder rampage of a bunch of kiddos. Like, no,
killed them.
Exactly. It's no. Replacing Sebastian Stan is still one of the most egregious things, and it's just there to stroke the fans.
Well, you just call him Sebastian Stan, so you lose.
I will crash an Imperial Star Destroyer into that hill. That's how hard I'm going to die on it.
I don't know. That's a gray area with me. I don't like that they replaced the guy either.
Let me tell you.
I can agree with you on that, but me and you've got beef that we need to take care of at some point. I'm going to squash some beef. We're going to squash beef at some point.
Let me tell you how much I love Sebastian Shaw and Skywalker. Right now, I'm like literally 2 feet away from me, and I'll send a picture later, and I'll post it in the Facebook group. I'm looking at my vintage carded Sebastian Shaw Anakin Ghost figure inside an acrylic case inside a glass cabinet, and the card art is a painting of old geezer Sebastian Shaw smiling back at me.
Big goofy grin. He looks like injured cold.
Yeah, exactly. And I have a carded vintage old geezer Sebastian Shaw who has no weapons. His hands can't even hold a gun, and it's really, really weird. And it's one of my favorite vintage carded figures. And I have the Tri logo, of course, because the Power of the Force is $10,000, as everyone knows. But I love that figure, and I also don't care that they replaced him with Hayden Christensen.
Well, I'm looking at 3 Porgs right now, pop figures. One, Obi-Wan Kenobi in Stormtrooper armor. Thanks, Zach. My other one that I got from Russ is somewhere. It's on the desk at the moment, but it's somewhere in the office near me. And I still say they shouldn't have replaced Sebastian Shaw. If we're just going to brag about what's around us right now.
I'm just saying, mine was a specific Sebastian Shaw figure, so I thought it was relevant because he was literally like 2 feet from me while we were talking about
I can go get the Lego figure and take off the helmet and just stare at Lego Vader with the messed up face, if you want that to happen.
Oh my God! All right,
I'm gonna accept defeat in the hopes of moving.
You hope wrong.
You see, Grand Admiral Zenger always wins. He's able to outthink his opponent.
Perhaps.
Okay, Bad Batch though. But okay. So even though Zenger is right in one degree, like when it comes to like some of the clones and their feelings, I have to admit though, like the regs, them being very just like overly hostile. Like, I don't know if that's indicative of like Order 66 now going into effect, or was it that like just like we remember, like, you guys remember it from like the Clone Wars series that like the red shock troopers were always the more like authoritative clone troopers. Like they were always kind of like the Gestapo.
That's the Coruscant Guard, right? The guys that Yoda and Obi take out.
Yeah. No, that was the 5. I think that was the 501st from Revenge of the Sith. Okay. This is like when like Ahsoka's on the run, like when she's being like accused of like the bombing.
In the In the movie, I think they only show up when Palpatine arrives on Mustafar at the end, right?
Well, they're also in the Senate chamber, like with Masamita and Palps. They're like we haven't found him, sir. Double your search. There's that. But no, that's the thing though, is that like in the Clone Wars, anytime you saw the shock like troopers, they were always like much more like, again, Gestapo than anything else. And that's why I don't know. Like I would love to see like other clone trooper factions that we've seen. Like we all know, like for the most part, they all like support Order 66, even Rex. But no, like I said, I think I just don't know though. Like I think there's gonna be a lot of that, especially now that apparently at the end of this episode, they're going to like the planet where you had the clone that defected and like had the family with the Twi'lek woman. Apparently that's where they're going, according to things that I was reading. Because they figure he's the one person that like would be off the grid and wouldn't really. I think about it, he's just kind of like in the middle of like farmland. He gets like his brain's just like murder all Jedi. And his kids are like, what is Daddy saying?
I thought they had to hear like someone say Order 66.
I
or what? Is it just something that goes out through like waves throughout space?
I that's the weird thing though, is that like.
Also, why are we letting all these clones reproduce? Why isn't the entire freaking galaxy just Kiwis? There's hundreds. I mean, there's millions of these guys just wandering around. They're
Jango's
fertile
genes
too.
are gonna be like in every even alien characters in the future. You can be like that probably is like his grandfather was a clone, and everything is gonna be Jango'd.
What you're saying is he's like the Genghis Khan of the Star Wars universe, or like no,
literally.
New Zealand actors, that's a lot of good. Well, actually, it's just one role, so I guess it's not that great.
Oh, geez. But yeah, so like that's the thing I want like see where this show. I think the show has a lot of potential. Like this first episode was solid. Like I thought the Saw Gerrera stuff was kind of just like boilerplate. Just Saw Gerrera just like having that weird sort of just like dislocated shade, just being like Empire evil. It's like the guy, all he wants to do is just blow something up. He's like Hulk clone, but like just like a little bit more like deformed somehow. Like he looks more messed up. I'm like, well, how does he go from being like super messed up to like Forrest Whitaker? Like if you look back at like that first like Onderon arc from the Clone Wars, like he's a pretty like good looking character. Then like he's like deformed. Then like we see him again, like Jedi Fallen Order in Rebels, and he looks like Forrest Whitaker. It's like where was the deformed? Like how did he get this deformity and how did he lose it? Like did he take some of that like, I don't know, stolen Imperial credits and go to like the Star Wars like rhinoplasty?
It only takes being too close to one explosion, Zach.
But he goes back to being normal. Like look
Dark
at him
magic.
in Jedi Fallen Order. Where's that in the soundboard, Russ?
I know.
Where is that character?
Because he got retired so long ago, I think Rise of Skywalker came out already and passed. Well, no, that's not true because there's some Mando stuff in here. Well, maybe we're all just so, I don't know. It was weird last year.
We should have a contest that like a fan's choice contest where you get to pick one Star Wars quote that Russ adds to the soundboard.
Right. I could do that. Sure.
Oh God, that'd be fun. What would it like, Zenger? What would yours be? I don't know. What would yours be like when it comes to like favorite Star Wars quote?
Can I just use I have spoken? So I just feel like that would be a good end to a lot of the arguments on here.
I know, but that's not funny though.
Way out?
That's a cheap way out.
I mean, Vader's what's pretty good.
All right, I'll stop with that one.
It needs to be arbitrary in very
just a random Chewbacca sound.
No, oh my
what do you
God.
mean the hyperdrive's not working?
Oh, Zenger, I want it noted we did not get Star Wars detours, and we did not get an announcement about it either. So once again, we have to like mothball that. That's not going to happen. They're too embarrassed.
Has anybody checked Disney Plus?
Everyone was so distracted with the fact that detours has been sitting there for the entire day.
I
don't kind of like it has.
Now.
I don't know. I did see these weird, these really weird ASMR Star Wars things that they're trying to put on there, which like,
oh yeah.
Whoa, wait,
Yeah.
where on Disney Plus?
Yeah.
That's
You mean like the biomes and like the flyover stuff?
Yeah, that's the that's they can save it with that stuff as far as I'm concerned, but it's like it almost
Is that
thought
like a VR enabled thing or something? Is that
No,
the
it's
point?
just a video.
No?
It's just a video. Yeah.
Oh,
A
wait,
short
there is
video.
Simpsons Force Awakens from its nap. Haven't watched
That was all.
yet.
That was awful. Like, don't like
Is
seriously.
that the
I
Maggie
watched that.
Simpson
Don't.
thing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
have
knew
not
it would
seen
be bad and didn't watch it.
It might be like it's literally just like, oh god, it's like Simpsons equivalent to what was that thing that Seth MacFarlane did like a decade ago, like Cavalcade of Comedy?
Yeah.
It's like that. It's like Simpsons and Star Wars. It's horrible. Yeah, there's really nothing clever about it. Like there's this weird sort of like Ayn Rand joke in the first like second of it. And I'm like what? I'm like, this doesn't even make sense. Like, why is this here?
Those
Yeah,
Simpsons writers had to get on board, doing it. So
we were at gunpoint. Like Mickey's once again has the gun to their head. It's like, do a Star Wars story, huh? It's like, oh god, yeah, it's not very good. Like it's horrible.
And Maggie is Ray, right? Is it just a short, 30-minute
No.
thing? Okay.
No. It's like 3 minutes long, and it's just like, okay, I'll give you the thing. It's like Marge like drops like Maggie off at Star Wars daycare. She loses her pacifier. BB-8 like finds it, and then she has like a lightsaber duel with the like monobrow baby, and that's how it ends.
And that's her rival. Okay, so according to if you type it in Google, Star Wars Detours, one of the first things is, will Star Wars Detours ever be released? Most popular answer.
That's just your popular search.
Yes, thank you. It is likely that Star Wars Detours is planned as a surprise release on May the 4th, 2021. It is May the 5th, and I would hate to say, InsideTheMagic.net, you are wrong.
I know that website. Chris, do you know that website?
Yeah, they do get one or two things right about the parks, but
long.
yeah. I'm not surprised because, they might get asked a question about a particular joke or two that's in that series, and then just the prospect of that alone is enough to not deal with it.
I'm telling you, they're just going to throw it in out of nowhere.
Yeah, May the 4th, it would generate too many headlines. They're just going to like put it in on an off day.
They don't want to distract from the Bad Batch.
No, they don't want to put a lot of attention to it. It's just what you're not seeing. They want to sneak this in the dead of night when no one's looking. I don't think even if they do, there's probably some stuff in there that might be, I hate the stupid word, but saying like problematic or something. This was made when? 2013, 14?
It was supposed to be released in like 2013. It was made like in the late 2000s.
There might be a little cleanup they need to do on a few things, like as things have changed over the last few years. I can imagine if knowing the people involved.
It was announced mid 2021. I mean, 2012. There we go.
Yeah.
It's hard. Yeah. Words and years are hard.
Well, it's interesting that once again I'm going to try after Maximo made fun of us for the last episode where it's like 85% of the episode was the state of Star Wars and like 15% was like the Bad Batch.
As we continue to not talk about the Bad Batch.
Hey, I'm trying, folks. I'm trying. If you remember, did anybody watch those animatics of the Bad Batch like before, like back like in the mid 2010s? Did anybody ever watch those?
I saw just the first one, the episode that was like the first of the 4 Bad Batch episodes. I remember seeing that.
Well, I watched that, and there was what?
Zach, did you ever tell me to watch those for a reason for this show?
No.
Okay,
no.
Yeah, I never watched it then.
That's fine. But there was a joke in those animatics where like their gunship, like they had like their own gunship and like it pulls up and it has like, oh God, like World War II, like Art Deco stylized version of like Padme. And like Anakin just sees and he's like, what is this? And Wrecker turns around and it's like, yeah, that's Senator Amidala. She can legislate my bill any day. and like Anakin turns around, the Rex like, Rex? That gets off the moment we come back. And then like when it premiered last year, everyone's like, what happened to the joke? And like Cowboy Hat Man's like, yeah, like we realized we didn't want to detract from Padme because she's not in here. And we really felt that wasn't appropriate considering her importance as a character now. I'm like, oh God.
We don't really want to emphasize how amazingly hot Natalie Portman was in at least one of those movies.
Now,
so
I remember hearing that was taken out and replaced with the scene where Anakin calls her on the space telephone. Replaced that, right?
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, so I think the drawing on the ship is still there, but it's turned into one of those things that you have to like pause and zoom in to notice.
Yeah, you have to know what it is you're looking for.
Right, like the guy who like exposed himself in Teen Wolf.
Precisely.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's the thing. Like, okay, we're gonna try to keep this on Bad Batch, folks. Like, I don't want to be held responsible for any of this. I'm trying. I tried last week and failed.
Hey, I tried last. You know what? I tried last week. Think about that.
I know that's bad when Zenger tries and we fail.
Listen, we've already talked about the Bad Batch way more than we talked about the supposed subject of the previous episode.
Alleged.
Okay.
Bring up to Bad Batch. I want to talk about a couple of things. I thought the droid was okay, but super annoying, and I was actually glad he got shot.
Whoa, droid hate real quick.
I don't know. I thought that I got so scolded last time about droid talk. So I said shot because you can't kill droids. I mean, come on.
You realize that he was in the Lost Mission season. He was the one that helped the clone that tried to uncover the conspiracy about the inhibitor chips. That was the same droid.
Okay. Well, he looked a little familiar.
And he gets shot because he tried.
Yeah, he does.
See, a man tries to manhandle a woman, and he tries to intervene. He gets shot because of it. See, that's a perfect example of you either die a hero or you live long enough to see yourself become the villain.
Yeah, I had a couple of weird moments with it. There was another when the Bad Batch returns and there's those clones that are holding that gurney with the body on it. I got actually upset thinking that was Lama Su for some reason, that they had killed some of the Kaminoans. But then when the lightsaber fell out, I was like, oh, it's just a Jedi. Never mind. Phew, Lama Su.
Oh, wait.
I legitimately felt that.
You guys didn't know that was Shock T, right?
Yeah.
Is that Shock
called
T?
The Shock T Troopers from now on because they took out Shock T.
Do you know that's Shock T? Or
I
just saying that? I was thinking about that, but I'm not sure because she was there. If you remember, she was stationed on Kamino during the whole like inhibitor like crisis thing.
Well, sure. Let's go with canon death to give her. Then give her at least the one where she falls in a Sarlacc or something.
No, she's too sexy in that one. You can't have that. It's not allowed.
Yeah. They made a like statue under the of that. It's pretty great.
That would. Okay, never mind. Sorry.
And also, wait, this medical droid though, like, is he sort of based on the like Polis Massa episode 3 medical droids? And what connection is there between like Kamino and those droids? Like, I thought they were like a totally separate thing, right? Like, is that type of droid ever shown on Kamino prior to that?
You mean like in like Attack of the Clones? No,
I mean, when the twins are being born, there's some droids that kind of look like that, right?
Yeah. I think it's the same. Like in like what you have the medical droids in the medical droid in Empire. I think it's just
right. So it's just a general thing. It seems like everything else on Kamino is sort of like their own hardware. So I just thought that was kind of weird. You don't see R2 units on Kamino.
And speaking of those droids, you want that ooh bah on the soundboard. I think that's a different one. That one looks really funny, but a little bit different. I'm talking about this one. Just like is the one that utters the hilarious line that she's losing the will to live. That's the one. Yeah. The other one's a Crouton B or whatever, Crouton B.
Exactly.
Oh my God.
This is Bad Batch talk. We're talking about that floating droid.
I know, but I liked him in the Lost Missions. I was kind of like they just stunned him, so they didn't really die unless they short circuited him. But no, I thought that was neat. Him and Omega like go into like their like what their bunks or their barracks. Yeah, their man cave. I'm surprised there was no Easter eggs in there. Like, I was surprised there wasn't, like, something in there. Like, really, you look around, and the only thing that's in there that clearly is going to be a merchandising opportunity is Wrecker's, like, little stuffed plushie. Like, I know, like, in a matter of, like, 3 weeks, that's going to be available at Galaxy's Edge for a low price of $59.99.
I was getting a little worried when they started looking at the iPad that was underneath one of their beds.
Was that a digital picture frame or something? It was like, it looked like the logo of the show was on it, right? It was like a picture of them on.
It is kind of weird. Like this is something they did in season 7 I think it's in the first episode with Rex maybe. There's a part where he looks at a picture of his crew and where it shows Echo and it's definitely a drawing. It's not like it's not like a photo. So it's like, what are they like if we're looking at this literally, is he looking at an artist's rendering of his crew or is it a photograph?
The boardwalk together or something?
You know what I'm saying? Like, what are we looking at here? It's kind of like when you see Thrawn with Ralph McQuarrie paintings. It's like, if I some part of my annoying brain wants to like canonically rationalize what he's looking at, like, hold on, is this a photo or not? And the same thing happens in this episode where you see the Bad Batch crew on that data pad.
I can confirm that, yes, in the Bad Batch episode of Clone Wars, right? I mean, Rex is looking at some kind of possible photo or artwork of him and his fellow.
But which
Rex.
is it? But is it a photo or artwork?
Commissioned, or did he draw it from memory? What's going on? He probably traced it. These clones aren't that talented. They don't put art in inhibitors in them or anything. Well, maybe they do.
Oh my God!
How's Thrawn supposed to figure out how to beat them if they don't have artwork?
These are the questions we need to be talking about, guys. Like, it's very important stuff.
Yeah, well, can clones make memes? They're probably not very good. They're probably not very creative. They're not, conditioned to do.
They're clone memes,
right? But like,
they're
imagine
humor.
But imagine if in episode 3, Commander Cody looked at an iPad with his friends on it, and it was like clearly a drawing. Like, that would be weird. That would be very strange.
Oh my God, you guys! Oh my God, that's just goofy.
It was kind of goofy when you think about what was that thing then, Zach? I mean, it looked like the same kind of iPad that Anakin had, but yeah, was that the screensaver or was it a picture frame? It was confusing.
I don't know.
I
don't know. Oh my God!
It was the same thing that Chewbacca's father watches music videos on.
You mean the thing for your hair that dries it?
Exactly.
Oh
I mean, they do have data pads and stuff because they talk about them constantly in the Thrawn books. So
that thing holds a pretty good charge, though, if it's underneath the bed for X amount of years and still could show a picture like that.
Yeah, quality future past technology.
It could be
we never see batteries. Batteries don't exist.
It could be turned off, but it burned the picture into the pad. Like if you keep your TV on too long.
Yeah.
There you go.
Perfect.
They've got a little tiny power droid that goes around like a Roomba. And it just
gonk.
Gonk. Little gonk.
Gonk.
Is that what a gonk droid is? Is it just a portable charging station that you have to chase down, beat up, and then plug it to?
I mean, the original figure is called a power droid, so like supposedly there was some notion that it was just a giant walking battery that you can plug into.
Neat.
Isn't it?
Also, I guess I better point out now, yes, I do realize that the droids and stuff do need to charge. So yes, batteries, I guess, do exist in the Star Wars universe.
Yeah, I mean, on Dagobah, if you, like, for all of you people who've never seen Empire Strikes Back, like, Luke deliberately and talks about plugs R2 into a battery, and, like, you see him plug it in,
And then C-3PO, I think, at some point says...
charges him with the Force.
I don't even know where to begin with this. Okay. You guys get me off topic.
You ready for some power? That's what he says.
Stop.
Gonk, gonk.
Gonk, gonk.
So I'm trying to understand. Oh, God, why am I forgetting his name all of a sudden?
Wrecker?
No.
Rambo.
Smasher.
Yes, let's name all of them. Admiral Tarkin, not
Governor.
Great. Yeah. Well, Admiral, Governor, it's apparently interchangeably the same thing. So, what's his whole plan? It's like, let me send them on a mission, send something to spy on them, and then make sure that, when they fail, I can be like, haha, I got them in their lie? I don't know.
I think he's
very confused about his motives.
He was just a test, though, right?
No, he wanted to see he could use it against the clones if they didn't do it, but they would eliminate the rebellion if they did do it. So it was a win-win. He's going to get what he wants either way.
I mean, well, no, it's just he's like, why did he say? I mean,
He wants He wants to stop using clones, so he sends clones that are actually capable of deviating from orders on a mission where they will probably do so that he can come back with some findings that say we should get rid of these clones.
It'll be gone. The Clone Wars have.
I liked how that one part Saw Gerrera's like, this isn't a Clone War anymore. It's a galactic civil war. He looks directly into the camera and puts the sunglasses on. You hear the Who song start playing, and I'm just
then
like,
the credits roll.
Exactly.
I'm surprised he didn't say what's the like.
Saw Gerrera blew up on the way back to his jet.
But isn't there like a worse new term for that era? Like it used to be called when everything was awesome. It used to be called the Galactic Civil War. But like there's like a new canon terminology for that period. I was surprised he didn't say that.
It's like Age of Rebellion.
There it is. Way worse than Galactic Civil War. But never mind.
No, it was the Galactic Civil War while the Empire was in charge. But once the New Republic became, it was the Age of Rebellion.
It's not called the Galactic Civil War anymore.
I'm so confused.
It's Age of Republic. Okay, I know they changed it again. Like they had, I know it's not that anymore either. It was Age of Republic, Age of Rebellion, then Age of Resistance, and
Age of Bad Batch.
Yes, that's what we're in now. We're in the Age of the Bad Batch. That's exactly what it's called. Because what happened was they started giving these things all new classifications, and it kind of did like the High Republic thing where everyone just went like, nah, we're not really going to call it that. And then, like, it basically just went back to what it was. So I don't know where they are right now.
Well, they did really try and get away from ABY and BBY for a while. And I think that's been given up on, too, because I'm pretty sure I saw a canon reference to, like, before the Battle of Yavin recently. And, I mean, they really wanted us to replace the Battle of Yavin with the Starkiller Base incident. Like, that's the cutest thing I've ever heard.
I remember that. And it's like, you've been pushing this on us for like 20 or 30 years that this is how you tell time. That's the one thing. If you just keep that one thing, it makes everything else a lot easier.
Yeah, good old Disney. Good old Disney. But anyway, though, looking into this, apparently that dead Jedi that we see when the Bad Batch come back to Kamino is not Shaak Ti. Because if you remember from season 7 of the Clone Wars, Anakin and Obi-Wan are talking about how Shaak Ti is trying to protect the Chancellor during the attack on the Coruscant.
Which technically makes Clone Wars canon again.
It's weird. Clone Wars is canon and it's not canon. Because we've gone through this like 100 times at this point. There's going to be
there's like an episode idea of us fully discussing it and me just raging at somebody because I'm going to squash beef.
Yes. But, like, that's the thing, though, is that, like, you have all these weird little hints to it. Like, I know there's even in the one book, Rogue One Catalyst, where like, they talk about the Battle of High Pori being, like, a huge loss for the Republic. And
Dooku Jedi Lost has a big reference to it, too.
What? What's that? I never read Jedi Fallen Lost.
Dooku Jedi Lost references the gladiatorial arena that Dooku finds Asajj Ventress in and covers some of the stuff that happens quite literally.
So that makes that canon, too, then. That's a great scene.
So once again, we're going to kind of just like back our way into making Clone Wars canon.
Yeah, they actually in season 7 didn't leave to go to. They actually left to go to that other planet, then go to say I don't know. I'm trying to think of how to make that whole thing work.
Was it Lucas who decanonized it though? Or was it Disney? Because I thought Lucas had decanonized it before Disney bought it.
He
did because of Clone Wars.
Okay, listen.
I was there. I was at the panel. I cried.
Yeah. Okay. Listen, you don't dwell too much on that because Lucas, like when Lucas, you got to realize what you're really talking about when Lucas. I don't think Lucas even really himself like fully spent the time to take in the idea of canon and not canon, because like when during the EU era there was such a thing as like G canon, which was like just anything Lucas said was the actual canon. So he did weird stuff like I don't think he really internalized it in that way. He's just like the guys who do the books and the games can do their own thing, but I'm not in charge of that. It's a business. So I don't think he looked at it that way. And also like you have this, like he's, here's a best indicator that he was never looking at it that way. Is like he participated in a live stream to some elementary or high school kids like during coronavirus lockdown.
Yeah, this old man.
Okay. Yeah, exactly. So his wife is doing this live stream, like, because she's like a very successful business person. She's talking to these kids, and Lucas is just standing there awkwardly off to the side. And at one part, these kids know nothing about Star Wars and couldn't care less. And like at one part, he does like this massive ramble about like Anakin's life choices, and he even listen. He even mentions like he's talking to a group of 12-year-olds in Harlem, and he mentions the Wills. He mentions the Wills like there's any chance in hell these kids know what the Wills is. So like that just tells you like how he thinks about these things. So when he decanonized Clone Wars,
they probably had no idea what was going on.
Oh my god! He mentioned the Wills to 12-year-olds currently. It's amazing. But so like
we need Lucas back. I miss this. Miss this. Is kind of like there's a difference between like blind indifference and like malignant indifference, and that's where we are now. The latter. Disney.
Well, I'm just pointing out that like we've reached the point where he really doesn't know what's going on anymore. So like for better or worse, he's no longer in charge. But I love him talking about the Wills to 12-year-olds. That's brilliant. And you can find that clip on YouTube. He's talking to a school in Harlem. But anyways, my point is that like I don't think he was that different 10 or 15 years ago. I don't think he's looking at it like I don't like when he said the new series is sort of superseding that. It just means that he wasn't gonna bend any of their planned storytelling for this new series to fit that. But
he
in a way it didn't
so much of that series for the 2008
right.
series,
but in a way it didn't they didn't really contradict each other super explicitly.
Grievous.
Right, but that's it. But the reason Dirge
Obi-Wan Clone Trooper armor.
Dirge dies in
the greatest look too.
Yeah, exactly. But I'm just saying, like Grievous. The reason Grievous coughs in the early episodes of the 2008 series is not because Tartakovsky Clone Wars was decanonized. It's so that children realize it's the same character that's in episode 3. That's what I'm trying to say.
What?
Can we have that clip add to the soundboard, Russ? Of Zenger just being like baffled.
When you don't edit this, just cut that little part out, send it to me. I'll put it right up.
That was great. Zenger's just like being like, I just like that was like I never heard such profound, genuine, like just befuddlement before.
Well, the thing is, you put it as you say it's decanonized, but then next thing you know, what they could do is always go back and cherry pick whatever they want from it.
Which is what they've been doing.
And that's exactly what they've been doing.
They're picking over this like freaking George Lucas ordering Chinese food.
No, it's more like George Lucas ordering rotisserie chicken.
No, he's picking over it like it.
And Disney has the carcass, and they still find some meat on the bone. And they're trying to make themselves a sandwich.
You see, Lucas never turned it around up the underside. There was a little bit under there.
No,
a lot. He left a lot.
Exactly.
This is gross. Oh God, what a horrible image! Like I'm not sure which is worse. The idea of like Lucas like
George
eating
Lucas
rotisserie
eating
chicken.
It all.
George Lucas eating a rotisserie chicken, just picking at it like with the greasy fingers, and then like the carcass sitting out like in the sun for like half a decade. Disney's just like ooh, like a whole.
Disney found this in his ranch's garbage about 16 years ago, and then they go through his beard and they find some more chicken. And they're like, oh, "Wait, George, you didn't get this."
I thought he still had it. He was like, "Disney,
nice little morsel.
I'd like to be alone and say goodbye to the chicken." They're like, "You're gonna eat it, aren't you?" And he's like, "No, yes."
My chicken. I bought it. I bought it at BJ's for $5. It's mine.
I was going to say bar at Costco for $5.
Well, I was waiting for Zenger. Where's that place you love your sandwiches from? Because it's a place I don't have here. That was an old reference.
Publix.
Public sandwiches?
Publix. Yeah, I actually had one recently.
Public rotisserie he's got. Because it's ours too, damn it.
I was about to say I had one recently. It was, I think it was a chicken bacon ranch. Oh, man, it was delicious, whatever it was. I need a pub sub.
So what we need to do is find a picture of rotisserie chicken and put the 2005 Clone Wars on it, and then just have Mickey Mouse just take it.
Oh, I thought at the sign was gonna say like Bad Batch, like 10% off or something.
That's a half-eaten chicken. Yeah, perfect.
That's what the Bad Batch is.
You make it so weird. Like it's like usually Zenger and Russ are the ones.
The name of this. It's so weird.
Oh my God. Zenger and Russ are usually the ones defending stuff, and Chris and I are the ones just being cynical and jaded about it. Yeah, it seems like the tables have turned.
Hey, I got all my love out with Mando. I still like this, but there's a valve has to turn the other way sometimes too.
I like it too, but I mean, we all knew it was going to happen within 5 minutes of the thing starting. It's like, oh, they're not going to like Order 66. Oh, they're going to turn. Like, I'm like, it could have taken like half a season for them to like, maybe do a few missions and then be like, this Empire might not be good. It took not even one mission.
It's
like, this Empire's bad. Except for Crosshairs, who is the dedicated, soulless, emotionless trooper that we all need, except for the emotion of killing.
I wanted to say,
loves that emotion.
It was talked about, Chris, I know you had mentioned it being on like a Black Series figure. Like, people knew that Crosshairs was going to be bad. It wasn't much of a spoiler because it's in like the first 5 minutes. You're like, yeah, this dude is not
down a kid.
Like, all right, we've already established this like immediately. He's like, I'm going to kill Freddie Prinze Jr. Like, Fred's going.
Well, come on. If any of us had the ability to kill Freddie Prinze Jr., like, come on. Like,
I'm going to go.
If the former Chancellor, current Monster Mash, is telling you in a shady hologram, murder Freddie Prinze Jr., excuse me. If he's telling you that, like, are you really going to contradict him unless you're like Rambo Clone Trooper?
I mean, you should kill him on the premise of that is a really, really husky voiced kid. I think I need to kill him.
Something's not right here.
He's possessed.
I think I'm being tricked. I think he is a she and she's a shapeshifter.
Exactly. I'm so glad you brought up that point though, because it's like, something in me, I just can't help but when I see something that's sort of logically inconsistent or not consistent with how things would play out in our reality with these characters, that's the kind of stuff that bothers me. And on some level, I do understand that theoretically this is a children's cartoon, but when I see like the whole breakdown of the command structure, how the Bad Batch is like, and especially Hunter is so quick to disregard these direct orders. That's the kind of stuff that seems a little bit weird to me. And I guess they're playing, and like they're playing with the fact that they don't have the chip or it's not functioning in them. I'm not sure which it is because the sniper guy did have the chip, so I guess they all do.
Well, the sniper guy, the thing I found disappointing about Crosshair was that, like, it wasn't like he turned because he wanted to. He was still loyal to his squad. Is that like, oh, his chip just works slightly more than the others. We'll just do like a Frankenstein on him and like electrocute his brain, and he's gonna become like very, very aggressive.
Yeah, they're dial that chip up to 11, please.
Like, but like what's gonna happen at some point in this, either the first season or throughout the series, they're going to do what like basically like Ahsoka does with Rex, and they're gonna like pull it out, and he'll be like, "What happened?" Like, that's going to happen. Like,
well, that's what I'm saying though. With the other guys though, like, so they have it, but something about their mutation means that it doesn't work. Is that what we're supposed to think about that?
They have more free will. That's the thing about all the Bad Batch. Like, their inhibitor chip is like, they all have it, but like their free will for the most part ignores those sort of orders. Or for some reason, Crosshairs is just a little bit on the fritz.
It enabled him to turn in his superior officer too, because did anyone catch that? Like, apparently he wrote a report basically saying, "Yeah, we didn't kill the Padawan." I didn't get to murder the Padawan, that husky voice Padawan, with my gun, so thereby he's not dead.
See, they could have done a Peter Brady. Like, they could have had his like voice cracking a little. Oh, they're coming for me, but he didn't. He just straight up, "I'm a man here. Hold on, boys. Use clothes. Stand down." Like, oh, I love this kid.
You like that, don't you, Zenger?
Can I just get the entire episode redone by Russ, please?
I just want to voice Freddie Prinze Jr. and reprising his role. No,
that's the thing, is that they have to stop with trying to connect the dots, and that's the thing, is they're trying to connect it. They're trying to connect it to Rebels. They're trying to connect it to the Clone Wars. They're trying to connect it to everything else. It's like, okay, the stuff in between, you have to have it. In the first episode, you have to have it linked to Rebels because that's something that we want to showcase there. It's still on the streaming service, and then next thing you know, oh well, you gotta. We're gonna do this next. It's what they do.
You think
It's-
we'll see an
plus-
Urso emerge in this, an emerging Urso?
I would say you would. I would say you would because Saw Gerrera is in the show.
Yep.
Urso is going to be in the show, and then you're going to see.
What if the Bad Batch got Galen out in the first place or something? They could. There's things like that I could see them doing.
Because they have an end point. You know, it's the story has already been written. They know where it's going to be going. You know, it's just like Rogue One. There was a couple times I was talking to some people about Rogue One. They're like, "Oh, I'm so sad that these characters all died." I was like, "Dude, it's like Titanic in Star Wars. The ship sinks. You know the ship is gonna sink."
We got tons of different actors we can plug in. I was gonna say, what if we see that like Diego Luna's character, or Calrissian and Andor? What if he was one of those kids that saw that?
Cassian,
and, he was with
you
them.
will definitely see Cassian Andor in this because he's going to have his own streaming show. So it's going to be something that's going to launch into his live action show because they're going to have that.
Well,
So
if they can,
Grandma Tarkin's gonna go, I'd like a new kind of droid called a K2.
Yes.
No.
well, if they can find room for a complete non-character Fennec Shand, then they should be able to find room for Cassian Andor.
But that's the thing. Again, that goes back to what Joe was saying. Like Fennec being here is clearly, obviously tying it into the Mandalorian, and it's just like, again, you're gonna have a bunch of stuff in here, especially with Rex. Like we know Rex is gonna be in the show. I don't mind them. Like I said,
Anakin.
no. I want to see like a very early Vader just still trying to figure out how like the suit works.
how to walk.
Master. He's falling over all the time.
He's just tripping over himself.
No,
I'd like to
because
be taller.
they keep saying that the guy that does Anakin's voice is reprising his role. So I'm like, but how?
No,
Is it going to
Matt
be Vader without his
no,
helmet
no.
on, just yelling at people?
Well, it's Matt Lanter, you mean?
Yeah,
The
that
guy who
person.
the guy who voiced Anakin.
Yeah, he's supposed to be back to voice Anakin again. So I'm like, how's that going to work? Is it a
He's been
flashback?
working on his
Are we getting a
James Earl
flashback and a
Jones
flashback?
impersonation since day one of being signed as Anakin, and he's like, I know this old guy's going one day. I can just do this forever. I called it. I'm already Anakin, okay? It would make sense.
But like, okay, I don't exactly agree with Joe's thing that like this show has like a finite end, because think about it, the finite end is the beginning of Rogue One. Like the Bad Batch are basically, again, as we can see, they're going to be the Star Wars A-Team, and I think there's a lot of room to play with.
Problems.
Well, that's the thing, though. I think there's a lot of room in there for like little like one-off stories, and occasionally like sprinkling the Empire in. Like I even saw, I forget who. Well, hold on a sec. They had one person, I was watching some YouTube videos today, who said like it seems like Crosshair with his new outfit might be like the prototype for like a Death Trooper. Considering that like if you go back to like the visual dictionary for Rogue One, it talks about like how like the Death Troopers were like augmented like elite stormtroopers. It would make sense that like, based on the black armor, like all of this,
I
like
like
what they
the
did to
angular
Crosshair.
design and stuff that he has. Yeah, I kind of see that.
Yeah, and they're like, he could be the prototype like Death Trooper. Like again, there's things like that. Like again, I don't mind when Star Wars connects the dots. I just hate when it hits me over the head with connecting the dots. Like I said, like the Freddie Prinze Jr. thing was just like, oh my god, like I have no problem with him being there. I have no problem with it.
But you have to know, though, that's the thing that, like, I as much as I, follow most everything Star Wars, I just didn't get that. And if I'm not getting it, I think a lot of people aren't. They're just like, yeah, like who's this husky boy? Yeah.
Well, I knew the
don't
moment
think they were trying to beat everyone over the head with it, like because it was something where it would have taken away from the story if they would have fully like delved into it more. I'm like, it's one of those if you know things.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, every freaking thing I see right now is the cameo everyone wasn't expecting in Bad Batch. I'm like, ugh.
But this is.
I don't think there is such thing as a surprise cameo. Like a young Dengar could roll up, and I'd be like, "Yeah, I assume this is going to happen." Or
At least
maybe
you would have. At least you would have known
Crosshairs
who
might
that was.
become, for LOM or something, or one of them. Like I can
For
see
love of
Crosshair.
money?
They're like, yeah, he could be for the love of money at one point, and he has to adapt a suit because he gets messed up by Smasher.
But this is my problem though with like the Caleb Doom thing. It's like the moment like we're having like we see like the beginning of the battle and we see like what's her name? Depa Billababa. I forget. I can't say
Her name's like
You
Papa.
did-
And I was
yeah,
like, why is that her name? I know. I've heard
mean,
it.
She's been around since the Phantom Menace.
She has been around, I know, but they never said it out loud or think like, Papa, get over here. You've had one.
But this is the thing though, is that like no normie, kind of like what Chris was saying about the bunch of kids hearing George Lucas talk about like the Guardians of the Wills.
I gotta watch that
Like-
now. I'm sorry. I'm late for.
But like, there's
just grab every soundboard clip you can, please.
But this is the thing, though, is that like no like normie is going to be watching that and be like, "Oh man, that's Caleb Doom." They're going to see it and just be like, "Oh, okay, it's a kid with a lightsaber." Moving on, it's only going to be your like semi-hardcore fans. They're going to be like, "Oh my god, that's Kanan. Oh my god!" Like it's basically just stroking people who already know who it is, and that's why I hate what Star Wars does. Is when it's stroking the fans that already don't need to be stroked.
Okay.
Like that's what makes me just like irritated.
They don't realize a lot of
Okay,
times that
wait.
sometimes things completely out of blue and new things will stroke it without them even knowing it. That like we like, we want.
But they
latch
but
on
they
to.
ha-
Yeah.
I know, but like that's the thing though. Like, but again, like it's that weird thing that like the reason why I hate May the 4th is that like it's basically just social like boost your social engagement day as a Star Wars like wannabe influencer. It's like it's there so those people have
Hey.
basically something for that particular news cycle.
It's like wear your
and
Star
on that-
Wars shirt at work.
On that note,
Mind your
Hey.
business. Mind your business, Mr. Joe. Mind your business.
on that note, can we do the car next year? I know you like to do movies that failed because of Star Wars. Can we just do the car next year? Kenner made a board game of it. Here comes the car, but it was a failed license, and you did the Roy Schneider movie. So you
Oh yeah, we did. We did the Roy Schneider movie. Yes, we did. Zenger, have you ever seen Sorcerer?
No.
All right, I don't feel bad for excluding you from that conversation.
Nobody's
then.
seen Sorcerer. I know it's
Wait. Is
That
this
was-
the episode you just did?
Yeah,
I
that
like
was the-
Sorcerer.
On,
it sounded
on the
good
Knights
from
of
you
Vader
guys'
feed?
description.
Joe, did you ever see Sorcerer?
No, I have not.
Okay, we don't feel bad then. I have to see what the engagement was for that episode, Chris. To
Well,
see
wait,
like
wait.
Negative 1,000.
Wait, are you talking about the episode that just aired, the May the 4th episode?
yeah.
Because my response to that was, I didn't record an episode.
That's why when Zenger's like the last episode we recorded earlier in this discussion. I'm like, that's what you think.
Yeah, I mean,
As I put the pinky to my mouth, like.
to be fair, like how many of you would have watched Sorcerer like with 24 hours notice? Like I got fully on board with that nonsense.
Yeah, pretty much everybody. Rob and Chris got like a text message like what 4 p.m. like the day before, and it's like, "Yep, we're doing this. We're doing it." Ah, Sorcerer.
Quality 70s nonsense.
Yes. But yeah, though, like I don't know, like some like, but it's weird that like they keep like over like that Kanan like Order 66 thing. It's like just give us another Jedi like night. Like during Order 66, like just go pick one Jedi from like the council and
Well,
just be like,
Zach,
Well-
they've,
These young dudes, though. I mean, that's
They've
what
already-
calcium was too.
exactly. They've already showed Shaq T's death 3 times. Like they just picked one of the other episode
So-
1 Jedis.
So 2 things real quick. One, it is the same planet from the comic. Like
Yeah.
that for some reason is still the same. I don't know why they decided to keep
they
that.
changed her lightsaber color though.
But
God dang
Also
it. The
the-
only
also
thing
the-
Zach would know. Of course.
also but I mean, it's no coincidence that the Bad Batch conveniently walks away during the moment that was probably shown in the comics. You know what I mean? Like it's clearly by design that they want to try and keep that comic canon in some way.
Well, no, it's completely like undone by this.
Really?
But-
It's that different?
yeah.
Even if you take out even if you assume we didn't get to see the moment before where they met the Bad Batch as reinforcements?
There is one thing that is the same in all 3 as of right now. The last word she says to him is run. That is the same in the comic, the flashback, and in this episode. So that's the only thing that ties all together, and it's on the same planet. The other thing is, Zach, would you have appreciated if it showed the Padawan out in the woods and him being like, I'm gonna change my name now to I'm not remembering. I'm gonna change my name to Kanan Jarrus and go into hiding.
And find a
Oh,
green
okay.
friend who's really good at flying.
Yeah, exactly. would that have
Listen.
pleased you more?
I'm gonna admit that I actually haven't finished watching Rebels, and I clearly
What?
I clearly knew who that was. I'm in season 4, but I haven't finished it, but I clearly knew who that was. No trouble.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it's kind of hard not to know who it
apparently
is.
that's not that.
All right,
apparently
yeah,
it's not
now
that
you guys are making
remarkable.
me feel bad. Look, I watched the beginning on my phone. It was a long night, but I really needed to see it last night.
Yeah, but
okay.
but it's like here's how ridiculous that scene is. It's like if in Obi-Wan, the new Disney Plus show, there's like a 9-year-old Luke, but he's voiced by Mark Hamill.
That would
I would love that.
work.
Perfect. He has Last Jedi Luke's voice.
Yeah.
No, even better. He has the Joker's voice for no reason.
It was weird.
Don't give them ideas, Zenger. Don't give them ideas.
I do want to say this to defend you, Russ. I will come to your aid.
Thank you.
It took me a minute to realize who it was because I was sitting there and I'm like, Kayla, why does that name sound familiar? Why does that husky voice kid sound familiar? And I saw the lights here. I'm like, oh, right, him.
They did keep the hilt the same. Like it's the same hilt from Rebels, which is neat.
It is, and that's what finally made all the pieces fall into place for me. And I was like, oh, right.
One thing I did think was like funny and amusing is that like Rambo is like telling him like, come down, kid, like we have a snack for you. Like he puts out some granola for him, getting like to lure him out of the tree, and Crosshair just starts shooting at him over again.
Yeah,
they start shooting at him over and over again.
That's that's what I'm saying. Like, so we have these, like, that's what I'm saying when the sort of breakdown of the command structure kind of takes me out of it. Like, we have all these adult concepts, like a guy shooting at a kid.
Murder.
Yeah, like the guy takes plenty of shots at this kid. You have like the army using live rounds to test their soldiers, which is like pretty dark. Like that, like that's
always the Hulk that gets shot. By the way,
right. Oh yeah, he got shot twice in this episode, right? And somehow it didn't really do much. But I guess they have real armor, not
actual armor.
Yeah, not 2 millimeters of white plastic like all the rest of the clones have. But you know what I'm saying though? Like when they so easily break that command structure, that kind of takes me out of it. But you have all these crazy things, like just the concept of soldiers being tested without warning using live rounds is like, imagine that's like something from Starship Troopers. Like imagine that, like this is a kid's show and that like Disney still doesn't think that blasters are guns. Like that's the crazy thing about
Don't tell them.
As long as those are guns. Honestly, it doesn't matter what it is. If it's a person in a costume or a droid, there's the same amount of death. As long as the helmet's on, it just looks like it could be a robot man. We don't know. I think it's for maybe it's for little children because there's not a lot. That's why so many droids are just killed.
But there's a scene talking about, hey, they tested us with live rounds without telling us. Do you realize how messed up that is? Like that's like seen in this. Like I don't know how kids can internalize ideas like that. Maybe they can, but it's like I don't know. That seems like a little bit complex, which I like. But then
I love it. But that's what the thing. Like that's the weird part of this. That like who at the Disney like Lucasfilm structure is making these decisions, because like I don't know about you guys, but like when the episode ends, you look at the credits. The first the first 3 seconds of credits, we see Cowboy Hat Man's name like a dozen times.
Yes,
and I'm just like, okay, but like we haven't really seen him like do any like really go to bat for this show. Like there hasn't really been a face of this show. Like every Star Wars project has like a face. Like obviously for Force Awakens, it was like JJ and Kathleen Kennedy. For Rogue One, there really wasn't a face. Like Gareth Edwards was already like buried underneath like the new like Giants Meadowlands Stadium. And then like by the time like Last Jedi, you get to like Rian Johnson. And then like by Rise of Skywalker, nobody wanted any parts of that. They kind of like basically threw like JJ
throw Daisy
outside.
Ridley out there, yeah.
Exactly. Like Adam Driver. Exactly. Like Adam Driver I don't even think did the press tour for the Rise of Skywalker.
And hold on, but Daisy Ridley's like, oh yeah, for 5 minutes I was Obi-Wan's kid, like basically on the press tour. That's how disorganized it was.
But that's the thing though, is that like who at Lucasfilm is making these decisions? Because even going back to the whole like gun blaster thing, we have Omega shooting a gun. We have a child shooting a gun, and like you guys were saying,
blaster. There's a difference. Blaster and gun is different. Because blaster is out of our world, but of course, it's like Batman shooting guns. I don't know.
But this thing though, like I'm just surprised that like they didn't have her doing it with the gun on stun. the blaster on stunt, because at least that is like, oh, it's just like it's like a stun gun, like it's okay, it's a taser basically. And I'm just surprised, like we have a child shooting a gun in the Star Wars property.
He did, and she killed a couple of clones pretty dead eye, and maybe, and
She doesn't shoot any clones. She like shoots the gun out of Crosshair's hands,
and then shoots the other gun out of his hand.
Yeah, she's not going to actually take any lives till this second episode.
Space Annie Oakley. I don't know.
Have we ever seen a child like murder somebody in a Star Wars film?
Hold on, give me a second.
So.
Have we ever seen a child shoot like a gun before in a Star
I
Wars
was thinking about that.
Oh, we saw Anakin blow up an entire base with a ship. I mean, he's firing.
That's fair.
He's shooting all of those droids.
He killed like easily a couple hundred Neimoidians. Yeah, he clearly.
Oh yeah,
at least 5.
Of course, yes, he murdered a lot of Neimoidians.
Everybody wonders why he like murders a bunch of sand. Like, it's so funny. Like when Padme's like he's going through his little like diatribe. He's going through his little diatribe about the sand people, and he's like, I killed them. And not just the men, but the women and the children too. And she's like, Andy, you killed literally like a couple hundred Neimoidians like 10 years ago.
You know, they had a nursery on that ship for Neimoidians. You've been doing this for a long time. That's why we love you so much. You are just a madman. You are the absolute madman that we need right now.
Oh my God, the nursery of Neimoidians on the droid control ship. Pour one out for the hilarious Neimoidian who has like a metal thing jammed in its eyes and mouth, who sounds hilarious.
Yeah, Lathan.
They went up a ventilation shaft.
Okay, you do have the Padawan murdering clones.
Oh, in Revenge of the Sith?
Yeah.
That's true. That's true. Who Jet Lucas, right?
Yeah, I thought it was a Lucas kid, but I could not remember.
The Jet, whatever they call him in the actual film. But that's Lucas's son, right?
Yeah, he's chopping up people.
Quality Jimmy Smith scene.
Like face-to-face murdering people. Not this Anakin BS of blowing up a ship.
Okay, going back to like cameos in this. How long do we make it in this until Vader comes after Omega?
Next episode.
No, they're not gonna blow. Okay,
and,
how long?
Wait, you can wait for the end credit scene.
Oh God. But like, think about it. We haven't really seen Vader do anything in canon. Like, I'm not counting the comic books, but like, we haven't really seen Vader do anything like worthwhile since like the end of Fallen Order. So like, we're due. Like, are we gonna have to wait for the Obi-Wan Kenobi series to see Vader?
Hold on. This was a thought I was trying to get out earlier when you guys were talking about the Obi-Wan series and Vader's potential role, and the fact that Darth Maul, the fact that they might play out that Darth Maul Obi-Wan fight again. Now, hear me out. So, Darth Maul is headed out to fight Obi-Wan. Vader knows how much he hates Obi-Wan, so Vader goes there, and it takes Vader and Obi-Wan teaming up to finally defeat, and it's a complete change in canon, and it's
oh no!
Yeah, they do take him out, and then that's when they separate ways again, and that's the Vader Obi-Wan meetup and Darth Maul, because they both would want to. I mean, Vader and the Emperor would be after Darth Maul in the Obi-Wan show in that time if he's alive, right?
Yeah.
How many wolves are in this scene though?
Does Darth Vader know who Darth Maul is?
Yeah, from Clone Wars.
Anakin saw him in the Naboo hangar. He remembers him.
And he was also in Clone Wars. They
I don't know. Did they? I can't remember their interactions though. I
don't think they interacted. Like, okay, remember, like somebody had really.
He was insulted that Ahsoka was sent instead of him.
Yeah.
Like, didn't they purposely avoid them interacting, or was that him and Obi-Wan until?
That's him.
Anakin
and
Grievous.
Yeah.
Oh right. Grievous. Okay. Yeah, that makes.
But like,
sense.
okay, but this is the thing. That's like somebody
for
I think
a
it was Star
dumb
Wars.
One line. To keep one line in canon, but yet let's butcher everything else we possibly can.
You're not wrong.
Let's kill Shakti again.
What they should have done, like when Tarkin's like use live rounds, they should just like thrown Shakti into the middle of that. Like, does anybody remember?
Wait, why did she shoot?
Like, you guys remember that scene from Total Recall where like Schwarzenegger's like going up the escalator and they like shoot like the bystander and he uses it like it's a human shield.
Yeah.
That's what like Wrecker essentially does to Shakti. Just picks her up and just the poor Shakti just cannot die. She becomes like
give her around and her head's all down with her tongue hanging.
Shakti's basically like the Kenny of Star Wars now. We're just gonna keep killing her over and over and over again, bringing her back.
Oh my god! All right.
What's that Jedi in Rebels where they think she's still alive, but they get there and it's like a mummified corpse?
Luminara.
Okay,
Shakti.
I thought it was Depa or Shakti. My bad, not relevant to this.
It's funny you mentioned that for like darkness in Star Wars. I can remember like in the previews them like showing like Luminara and Dooley being like, oh god, there's another Jedi in this series, and then like they get there and like it's basically like a mummified corpse that the Grand Inquisitor used to lure them into a prison, and I'm like, man, that's like that's dark.
Star Wars, jeez 'em.
Yeah, I love it when Star Wars goes like kind of like low key dark.
Yeah, they're like, hey, if you didn't watch the first one, you got to see an aunt and uncle's skeletons on fire. This is what you're in for with Star Wars. We just have to remind you every once in a while.
Oh, beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. But like, okay, somebody brought up the fact that like, I think it was Star Wars Explained that was like, they had like the digital animation files of like Depa, Billaba, and like Caleb Doom from the Clone Wars. If you remember, like in season 7, like there's a bunch of Jedi in front of like a map, and you see like the holograms of them. And if you remember from also season 7, they also have like the digital model of Dryden Voss. So like, and if you remember, like the thing of like the Solo movies was going to be that like Maul was going to be the villain of like that like Solo trilogy, because it was going to be about like the grimy like underground nature of Star Wars.
Yeah, Black
who's
Sun, right?
Who's to say that
Jabba.
Who's to say that Maul doesn't become like part of this thing? Whether considering that like Bad Batch, Kenobi, and Calrissian Endor are all like taking place like in this space of time. Who's to say that like
Book of Fett? Well,
that's later. But like if you like, who's to say that Maul's not going to be like part of this? Because if you look also to like where Maul was, like when we get reintroduced to him in Rebels, he's on what, Malachor, because he's been like exiled there, and like we don't know, because there was also that thing from, I know I'm jumping around a lot, so bear with me, but like what was that, Chris? You probably remember it, the Infinities thing where you have Vader and Darth Maul fight each other.
Yeah, basically it was Palpatine had Darth Maul cloned to basically be Vader's sparring partner so he could eat popcorn and watch it happen.
Who's to say we don't get that again? Like, think of how much like internet attention that would get. Ray Park, once again, is Darth Maul fighting Hayden Christensen, Darth Vader, in the Obi-Wan Kenobi series.
You know,
I think it is going to happen.
That brings up a great question, and I know we're not going to go down this rabbit hole, but I just want to introduce the idea. I know it's going to get shut down immediately, but it's like, how is Gina Carano canceled and Ray Park is not? And also, is Ray Park canceled, but they just didn't announce it?
That was some of the dark times of this show when we did some rogue episodes without Zach, where that was that short time that during quarantine when Ray Park got briefly canceled or maybe canceled, and all that weird darkness that was going on with that and his wife.
I think it's an open question.
It is.
It's an open question. Like, is he canceled? We don't know.
Actually,
did Ray Park ever post anything on Instagram?
I got some answers.
I think his wife and daughter did a lot, right? Wasn't that the story?
Okay, okay, so we don't need to explicitly go down this rabbit hole, but basically what Ray Park did is theoretically a criminal offense versus what Gina Carano did. So like, I can't imagine how he's not canceled, but she is. But anyways, never mind that. I'll be impressed if we see Ray Park as Darth Maul again.
Okay,
they'll get Peter Serafinowicz.
They already have the voice, and it's an animated series. Like he didn't even voice the character in the animated series, correct?
Right, but they brought him back for Clone Wars season 7 to do motion capture, and they and I mean, if you watch it, you can really tell that was an actual fight, because it doesn't get like super crazy with like jumping and all that stuff. Like you can kind of tell, like it feels like the episode 1 duel at the end, right? But I mean, of course they do it just so they can talk about the fact that they brought Ray Park back, but they were proud of it. I'll be surprised if they go near him after that thing, just because people will dig that up immediately if they do.
I don't know. I feel like Disney just pulled him in.
Discussion ever.
They pulled Ray Park in for one afternoon and like, hey, why don't you do all of your moves? And they captured everything. And they're like, all right, you can go back on Twitter now. And they're like, all right, that's all we really need. We got everything this guy is capable of. So we've got the voice, and they start like Mickey's, getting his hands together. Oh, he's getting very excited because he's not going to pay him.
Ray Park feeds it because he does weird stuff. Like he posts behind the scenes photos from Solo, like 2-3 years after the fact. And like dummies think like, oh, is he filming something? It's like, that's clearly behind the scenes photos from Solo, guys. Like maybe he wants you to think he's filming something, but that's Solo.
So,
whoa, he's with Warwick Davis. It's like, yeah, he was in Solo. He's in everything.
So looking this up, according to Wikipedia,
is there a canceled
the bastion
section
of knowledge?
Oh,
the bastion of knowledge.
Shakti is officially killed by Skywalker / Darth Vader, in accordance with Yoda's vision. Like apparently she dies.
We've gone through this.
I wanted to see what, according to
this topic will never end. It's great.
Like, how dead is she? Who allegedly killed her? I want to know where we're at right now. So in a few weeks, when I look it up again, it will be something different.
Maybe
that is the last
thing. Cloning Shakti the whole time.
Screenshot that. Screenshot that page.
I need to.
So you have evidence.
She is the most dead character ever.
Oh my God, poor Shakti.
Even more so than all the clones that have been killed.
Oh my God! All right, is there anything else we want to say about that, Joe? Do you have any other thoughts on this?
Well, do they continue to wear the armor?
What?
The armor they have on? Are they going to keep like looking like stormtroopers, or are they going to get new armor, cool armor, different armor?
They're going to repaint the same armor.
I'm going with that one.
It's going to be like a gold and a blue.
Wait, did you see something, or is this just a random guess?
It's just a random guess. I'm just feeding into it, man. That's
okay.
Good.
Well, hold on. Hold on. So here's a crazy notion. So do you think that this whole idea of this whole, like, it was Legends before it's canon now, this whole idea of the Empire eventually phasing out clones, is this because George Lucas in the early 2000s totally arbitrarily decided while they were redubbing Boba Fett with Tamira Morrison, they decided, well, we better not redub all the stormtroopers with Tamira Morrison because like the nerds will get really annoyed by that. But that's what I'd like to do, Lucas said, but I will draw the line somewhere. So like the reason clones eventually get faded out in canon is just because Lucas drew the line at not redubbing all the stormtroopers in
I don't know about
trilogy.
that. I think the stormtroopers were so inept, it was hard to believe that the clones of them were actually the same people, because they are very, notoriously bad aims and all. The clones are nothing like the stormtroopers. I think it was intentional. I think that's why the debate comes up in episode 7, whether to use clones or actual troopers, that comes up then, because yeah, that OT era troopers are different, and sequel trilogy troopers are different, and Clone War troopers era troopers or clone troopers.
Which means you're going to see something happen in this show, which is probably going to go to Chris's point, where you're going to see something happen at the clone facility. That's why they don't use the clone troopers anymore.
Yeah, also, I feel like Lama Su is going to die. Like, that's why I got kind of choked up thinking she was actually on that.
Something's going to happen. Like, they're going to come in and seize all of their equipment. So this way it checks the box of how did Palpatine get the equipment to clone himself? Well, there you go.
We only clone old people now. We're not cloning more troopers. This is all Emperor cloning facilities.
Yeah. Well, he took it and he went to the Sith planet.
And then they
oh my God.
After all,
screw you, Palpy. We'll sink it into the ocean because this is an ocean planet, and it all sinks. And it's like, oh no.
After all, the first million clones were so inexpensive that the Republic didn't even know they were being made. So like, they have to balance the books clearly because it's extremely cost prohibitive to make clones.
Like,
also,
we thought the
this...
first 200,000 were kind of cheap. We didn't realize the bill that was coming with $1 million well on the way. Like, whew, he really like. I think Tarkin is just looking at the bottom line of the Empire. It's like, look, we cannot. These guys die in like 9 years. Like, we can't do anything about them. Yeah,
you're gonna find out that
Diaz.
the tech in the show is going to find a way of overriding the inhibitor chip, so they have free will. That's another thing that they're going to stop the clone troopers. And once they don't have that inhibitor chip, that's why they stop using them.
I just want to throw this out there real quick.
Yeah, I actually like that idea a lot. I didn't think about that at all. That Tech might have then that nerd trooper has a greater purpose in all this. That he will ascend.
He's not just a nerd.
That's a great concept. That Tech could somehow take over the other troops and get them to turn. Yeah, I mean, it's not going to end up. How many clones are left? Is this another Clone Wars we're going to see within? Are we going to starting to see the like inscription of different normal troops that aren't clones? Is that what this is all about?
That's what I'm thinking it's going to be about, because there has to be a way of them doing it. You sit there and you look at it. They churned out millions of these troopers. So what's the only way that they're
planet of white men? We need as many as we can get. No aliens can be in here. No ladies. Well, Empire did have some ladies. Nope, you're right. Empire did have some ladies later.
Yeah, because in some of the books it's mentioned that there are female stormtroopers
in the Battlefront 2 whole.
Only in canon. Only in Looney canon.
No, it's pretty solid canon now. The Thrawn books feature a few female stormtroopers floating around. Those are like super canon. So they're the only ones I read.
Thrawn is a gender fluid character.
Sorry,
he can go wherever he wants.
Those books, and of course the amazing series Embark by John Justice.
Man, here we go again. This plug time. How much do you get each time this happens?
How much does he pay me? He pays me.
Does he even have a new book right now? Like, what are you doing?
He's trying to eat me.
I talked about at the top of the show, the Rocket Queen.
No
one listens to me. Song that's like very not PC anymore. What's going on with this John Justice guy? We gotta look into him.
I want to know that. Okay, Joe.
You're gonna see that a lot of these characters in this Bad Batch is gonna be a lot of hole fillers that a lot of people have. Like, well, why did they stop using clone troopers? They're going to give you a reason why they stopped using clone troopers.
That's what I'm saying. Is it all because Lucas didn't redub those scenes? Like, why do we care that they, like, sure, they're worse at aiming and all that, but, like, that could be also explained by the fact that they're biologically 70 years old by that point. You know what I mean?
It's pretty garbage. Like, Tarkin definitely, after all the hard work that Palpatine did, it looks like Tarkin is just going for a very budget empire, where he's like, all right, we've got all these resources built into this Death Star thing. We cannot afford to be cloning people. Let's just get guys, and we'll put them in. We'll put them in painted cardboard. It'll be painted very shiny. We'll give them the practice blasters we found on Camino, and we'll just start to scare people.
Like, I'm not saying it's bad. I'm not saying it's bad that that's the reason. I'm just saying it's funny that the newest and most currently, I mean, like you said, there's no person who's like the face of this show, Zach, but like it's the new hotness with Star Wars, and it's a cast. The main characters are something Lucas came up with while he was like crazy and 70 years old, and it's about the fact that Lucas decided not to redub all the stormtroopers in the OT with Tamira Morrison. That's the key plot point.
I don't know. I think there's got to be something to this, because I think about it, you don't see a lot of clone troopers. Like, I disagree with you, Chris. I don't think they're like 70 years old. I think the accelerated growth is just to get them to like 20 years old. Because if you remember what Lama Su says from Attack of the Clones, he's like where Obi-Wan has some question. He's like, of course, otherwise it would take like a generation to like get a mature clone.
Okay,
I think it's just to get them. I think they're biologically 10 years old.
The only reason that you're right, but the only reason that's a thing in canon is so they don't have to like have a scene where like Rex dies at like the physical age of 80 while he's actually 35. Like, it's another thing where the story is they're messing with the story because of popular characters. It's like how Ahsoka should be dead but isn't. It's like narratively speaking, it makes much more sense that Vader would have killed Ahsoka in the end of season 2 of Rebels. Everyone knows that's what should have happened, and the way they get around it is because it kind of did happen but kind of didn't. And it's just like we don't want Rex to be totally dysfunctional, so that the extra that kind of looks like him in Return of the Jedi.
Return of the Jedi, yes, we need him for our Return of the Jedi figures.
Even though he'd be like clearly geriatric and dysfunctional by that point.
Not really.
I'm throwing
if
this
he had
out
accelerated growth, I find amongst all these fantastical ideas, I find the idea of accelerated growth that slows down at a specific point highly implausible. We
could have gotten the great quote, "All these Ewoks are dead." And we're like, oh, no, please, no.
But I do think at some point you will have some sort of like clone rebellion. Because they're going to do away, like that's going to be a big thing. Like basically all these clones are going to be wiped off the face of the earth. There's too many of them floating around.
It's going to be Order 67.
Exactly.
Or maybe there's a couple orders in between. They can make it cool and do Order 69 and get rid of the clones.
Haven't they had and Zack and maybe like I fully admit, as ridiculous as this probably seems to most of the listeners, Zenger probably has a better handle on the canon literary material than I do, and I fully admit that and concede to his opinion. But like, hasn't there been canon clones like in the Galactic Civil War, like that? Like maybe I'm thinking, like, is this Legends? There's like a Royal Guard maybe, and Vader down. That's a clone. Is that a thing? Like they haven't got rid of all of them by that point.
I don't think they get rid of all of them. I think it's just like I think in mass they get eliminated. So I think in that what Zenger isn't it in Lords of the Sith, like one of the Emperor's guards is like a former clone.
I think so. But most of the Emperor's Guard dies during that, so it's like it doesn't even matter.
But I think that's the point, though. I think for like a handful of like really, really attuned clones, like linger around, but like pretty much like the rank and file just like goes out the window.
Yeah, they just sort of die off as time goes on. I mean, they're not.
I don't think they die off. I think they. I bet.
No, I meant die off by just getting killed on missions, stuff like that. Like
I don't think so. I think Vader. I think there's like almost like an extermination of them.
Oh no! Wait, Vader. No, you're correct. Vader, actually, the 501st is mainly clones for a long time.
Yeah.
Also, I think Russ did bring up a good point. I've been trying to say this for a while. Russ brought up a good point earlier about tech nerd, Donatello, doing something to the clones because it establishes it with him overriding the droids.
Mm-hmm.
There's a precedent set of showing, oh, he override the droids. So then later on, he's like, oh, well, overriding the control chips could just be as simple as doing this.
And that's what I could see happening, though, is that like they orchestrate like a clone rebellion against the Emperor and the Empire, and that's how they all get wiped out.
Gets blighted off of the face of this off the face of the galaxy.
Orbital bombardment.
Yeah.
It would be so easy, too, because all they are is these little floating technical stations, it seems like. Then they're just like, yeah, we know where they all are. It's not like there's not a lot of place to hide unless you ride those fish around.
But, when you have this idea that's explicitly stated in episode 2 that the clones have accelerated growth, don't you on some level think that that's Lucas realizing that he's not going to do any more movies after episode 3, and he's building in a reason why there's not clones anymore by episode 3? Like, isn't it a reason that they're all dead if they have
I got 2 words for you, Chris, when it comes to master planning and Attack of the Clones. And I think Zenger knows exactly where I'm going with this. Sifo DS.
Okay, but what's the fundamental difference between Sifo DS being hatching his plot 10 years secretly or 20 years secretly? Like, who cares, right? If it was 20 years, you don't need clones with accelerated growth. It's equally hard to hide your galactic scale clone army producing plan for 20 years as it is for 10. It's totally implausible both ways.
I don't know.
Okay,
I
got something. According to the internet, thank you, Google, once again, How do clones age in Star Wars? So it takes them about 10 years to reach their peak physical form.
Mhm.
Then for only 5 years are they in active combat during their physical peak. Then less than 5 years later, they are effectively 40 years old. By assuming this, no, that's the other thing. They set this up because when we meet up with the clones and rebels, they're
old men. Yeah,
they're old.
They're not that old.
They're gray-haired old men.
Clearly out of shape.
They're a bunch of bears hanging out on a tank at this
But
point.
think of-
They
no, but
are
think
look
of-
like
but-
they're in their 50s or so.
But that's the thing, though, is that like they're basically okay. Look at it this way: by the events of Attack of the Clones, they are at least 20 years old. Then by when we like meet up with them in Rebels, it's like 18 years later. So you say they're what? Biologically 38. They've also been living on like a sun planet, like on a giant ATTE, and they've also been like they've also been in a war.
Stop everything. If you're saying Rebels Rex is biologically 38, clearly I'm right, and the growth does not slow down because
Then how does he survive all the way to Jedi then?
Well, it's been clearly established since Legends that the human life expectancy is closer to 150 in Star Wars than 100 or whatever. Like, than 75 or 80. How grim that it is in real life. They live. They live longer. They have better medical technology. The stupid medical droid that we saw in this first episode of The Bad Batch. They really get a lot of stuff done.
Bacta.
Yeah, but if Rex is supposed to be 38 in Rebels, their age doesn't like recalibrate.
Well, maybe he's like 42 because I forgot the 3 years between Attack of the Clones and Sith. So like he's in his early 40s.
It's not a game changer.
Age is just a number.
But he's also had a lot. He's also had a lot of stress. He fought in the war for how many years?
He's been fishing for like 10 years.
Okay, that doesn't age like take the crow's feet away.
The PTSD is in his eyes. Yes.
Exactly. Thank you, Rush. Think about it. Imagine if you were a genetic like cloning farm and you're like, you know what, we're going to clone you an army for how many like trillions of credits, but you only get a 5-year lifespan out of them and you got to retire them. What if your war has to last longer than 5 years?
It's a budget calculation. It's also better to actually get them active faster. Listen, it's also too much to ask for the average Star Wars fan. Like, look how much we're getting hung up on it. You can't explain to someone.
Point. It's a trap.
You can't explain to someone that the aging eventually slows down again. I think I'm gonna go ahead and like attribute it to Lucas because like obviously Lucas is a genius and he never did anything by accident or arbitrarily. That like he just wanted a reason that the clones were all gone eventually because they had accelerated aging. Clearly, it's all pre-planned. He's a complete genius.
10 out of 10 stars.
Exactly.
Yes, exactly. He knew Baby Yoda was coming into the pike, and it was just it takes a lot of setup to get to this situation where you have the Mandalorian.
Okay, at what
Baby
point do we
Yoda.
have? Okay, how far into season
Mandos,
1 do we have
right?
a mission where Bad Batch has to save Grogu from Big Whiskey from the Jedi Temple?
Oh my God, you are right. You're right.
I don't think so.
I don't know, man. They've already crammed one kid into this show. You think you're not going to cram a kid into this show?
By the end of this episode, Grogu has already been whisked away by the end of this episode because where we are chronologically, these are the scenes. We're at the point where you see Obi-Wan and Yoda walking through the Jedi Temple filled with corpses. Like it had to have happened before this.
Well, I thought by this point Luke and Leia would have been born. I mean,
This is during episode 3.
Yes, I know.
But I'm just saying, like
a lot happened since Order 66 happened on that planet as far as this episode went. But it's so hard to gauge time in Star Wars. Like, how long was episode 3?
Well, luckily they give you Palpatine's wonderful speech that you could just listen to on loop and obtain nirvana by listening to it on loop. But and that it really bothered me that they sort of zoned out and had their own conversation during like the best speech of all time. That was sort of rude.
That was a little rude. I was like, I could just listen. Are we just gonna watch Revenge of the Sith now? And he's like, they start talking to me like, hey, that's your new emperor.
On the subject of that scene, like I said, like for whatever reason, my girlfriend doesn't really like Star Wars. Hilarious. But for whatever reason, she got sort of glued to it when I put this on. And when that part came up, she was like the classic thing where it's like, wait, where does this take place in the timeline? Like, I have a friend who's like, I swear he's seen like all 6 actual Star Wars movies. And like when he got to the end of Mandalorian season 2 and saw Luke, he was like, wait, where does this take place in the timeline? So it's like, how did you put yourself through that viewing experience and not think about that till now? But anyways, so I like, because of the horrible convenience of Disney Plus, I quickly switched over to Revenge of the Sith for 5 minutes and showed the Order 66 sequence to her, and she's like, "Oh yeah, I remember watching this and not caring about it at the time. Great."
Yeah.
And
I don't care now either, but thank you for wasting more of my time.
Yeah. And but you know what stood out to me playing that back, and like this is kind of a segue, but like also like so. Like you feel like you know these movies back and forth, but like there's at the start of the Order 66 sequence, Palpatine like personally phones up Commander Cody and mentions him by name. Commander Cody, the time has come, execute Order 66. And like that, after all we've seen in Clone Wars and with the Bad Batch, like Palpatine knowing Commander Cody and mentioning him by name was the weirdest thing to me. Like, I can't imagine Palpatine knew who Commander Cody was. Like, that seemed like the strangest thing I've ever, like, it seems so alien, because like these series build up the scope of these armies to such an extent, and they show the Jedis like at the forefront of all the military decisions, that it seemed like the weirdest thing when I played that back, like in juxtaposition to this episode.
Actually, with that being said, I have one thing. The reason why he would do that is because Obi-Wan was a high-value target. He wanted Obi-Wan gone.
Honestly, I think it's more of George Lucas cannot help himself in his love of 50s rock and roll, and the band Commander Cody and the whatever they're called is a 50s like almost like doo-wop rock and roll band that he named Commander Cody after. Of course, think back to what's his freaking 50s movie again? Why is the name eluding me? American Graffiti. Sure, he used Commander Cody, I'm sure, is on that soundtrack, but he had to put that name out there. He's like, "Oh, I finally have an army, Commander Cody," because that's an old 50s rock and roll reference, and that's all right. That's kind of where that comes from.
Totally accept it, but that's also the character's name, so its reference was already achieved. It's weird if you watch it back with all the context they've laid out since. That's all I was trying to say.
Because if you look at it, the trooper that was with Yoda, he was on there for a lot longer than execute Order 66.
Yeah, no one says Commander Gree, right, out loud. No one would dare.
Because that's the thing, is he had the hologram came up, and then it was a couple seconds, actually more than a couple seconds, because all the other ones, it's almost like all the other ones he just did a mass.
Forward.
That's what I'm saying. It was a dedicated one.
But just
he
DM'd your name.
He DM'd Commander Cody and the other guys, like the one who killed Plo Koon in the Starfighter. He didn't get his name at all, because it shows the whole message like of Palpatine popping up. First of all, it's very dangerous to fly a Starfighter and have hologram projections coming up in front of your face of Palpatine telling you what you should do.
End of the Bad Batch before we started this. I put my phone right above like the dash and watched the rest of it on the way to get home from.
Life imitates art.
I got something. Deep research into Wikipedia I've discovered some stuff. In 14 BBY, Sergeant Kress was a clone trooper who still served the Empire through Lord Vader. Lord Vader stated that the clone's aging may have been too fast for him to remain in active duty. So they do have accelerated aging. However, Vader ultimately promoted him to the rank lieutenant. By 4 BBY, most clones had been decommissioned or were relegated as obsolete.
Cody, please take care of your hip this mission. I cannot afford to lose you.
So there's your answer. They do have accelerated aging, which is why all of the clones that we see in Rebels look like they are in their 50s.
Obviously.
I'm glad that
bunch of rags. We don't have to worry about that. our Bad Batch heroes they're gonna be here for years, guys. They are not
because they're
wrecked.
augmented. They're not
They're
normal.
fine. Well, they had accelerated too, but somehow Wrecker will figure it out, and so will Chobot and the rest of the gang.
Oh, one thing I want to talk about Chobot is that, like, have you guys looked at, like, he has, like, the Lobot thing around his head? Yeah. You look at his helmet. His helmet has a hole cut out for that. How
does his helmet work?
Yeah, shoot me right here where I need this brain computer. That's perfect.
That's what I mean, though. But, like, how does he put a helmet on then? Like, if you look at, like, the helmet actually has that part cut out, but, like, how does he get it, like, over his head? Like, completely.
Can you imagine if you had...
Clobot, we have found you a good helmet. It will fit over. He's like, whoa! I look really stupid. My head looks huge now. Just cover the parts that aren't, that.
That's so amazing. It's like that alien in the cantina who's like full brain is exposed, but he gets a helmet that only covers his eyes. It's like brilliant. It's super safe.
It's comfortable. Okay.
Crazy. All right. Anything else you have to say about the Wild Bunch, directed by Sam Peckinpah?
No, I think we're good. I think this was a fun, and there's 16 episodes of this, and I know the
next episode like Friday.
Yep.
Well, technically in 2 days for us, for you, the listener, tomorrow, and for me, the person who's listening.
Who
to
said
later.
this episode's going?
Yeah, I was about
tomorrow.
to say. You better stay evergreen. This could come out next month for all you know. And we are recording this though on Revenge of the 5th, right, guys?
Revenge of the 5th.
That joke I honestly, me saying that, I didn't even see it this year. I think that joke died like maybe last year or the year before. So
no, it was around. It's around.
I was about to say R.I.P. ROTS.
And don't forget Revenge. I mean, the Shakti dies on the 7th.
Oh my god,
that's my favorite one now.
All right, that's the new holiday. The shock of the 7th. The Shakti.
Shockteenth of the 7th.
Shockteenth. Oh, Shockteenth. That's the 17th. The Shockteenth. Okay.
Shockteenth.
So, all right. Okay. So concludes this episode.
The show is going to come out May 17th. Shockteenth.
Oh my god. So concludes this episode of Knights of Vader. Check out the Facebook group, type Knights of Vader in the Facebook, and you will find us there waiting for you. If you like what you hear, please rate, review, and subscribe to us on iTunes or whatever podcasting platform you're currently listening to us on. Thank you to An Inspiriority Complex for providing our theme song. Check out the show notes to hear more from them. For questions, comments, concerns, or snide remarks, you can find me on Instagram, or you can find Zenger or Russ or anybody else in the Facebook group. If you want also hear what sort of nonsense. What?
I post the memes.
Indeed you do, sir. If you want to hear more of me and Rob, check us out on the Cinemoddities podcast, where this Monday, I believe, we'll be talking about... I don't even know anymore. We talked about the Mummy Returns. That's all that matters.
Actually, I got a bone to pick with you on your other show.
Oh,
how did you talk for 3 hours about Freddy Got Fingered?
That's a great movie. I love that movie.
Thank you, Russ. Russ, do you want to explain Freddy Got Fingered?
Inside and outside the box, the rare DVD set of all his original stuff from the Canada public access stuff. So yeah, I'm a big Tom Green booster. Sad what's happened to him over the last few years, and I will admit I haven't listened to Cinemoddities, but now I'm going to right after we're done.
Good, but yes, Freddy Got Fingered is an absurdist masterpiece.
I'm not saying it's not, but 3 hours worth of conversation, oof.
Oh, it's delightful, right, Chris? It's delightful.
I thoroughly enjoyed it, and I mean, I've been a long time supporter. Like, anyone who follows the Knights of Vader Facebook group will have seen a picture of my lingering VHS collection, which of course I would never watch, but somehow I can't get rid of them. And Freddy Got Fingered is prominently displayed in that pile of VHSs.
Excellent,
as it should be.
As it should be. All right. Gentlemen, we'll go around the room. Joe, where can people find you when you're not on this podcast?
On this podcast, yeah, you can. I'm not anywhere to be found. I'm actually in a bunker located in some place in South Dakota.
I want to say, all the people who have been looking for Joe, stop. Just listen. Just stop. Please leave him alone.
That is a false name, and you cannot locate me by any means. In my Faraday cage.
All righty, Chris. Where can people find you?
You can find me at the Chris Porteous on Instagram, and also you can find me in the Knights of Vader Facebook group. And I wanted to add on, we're gonna do something a little unusual on this episode. I want to give away a Black Series figure to our wonderful listeners, and I want to do that by encouraging them to join the Knights of Vader Facebook group. So search it on Facebook. Find the Knights of Vader Facebook group, and if you get in there, you'll see a post for this giveaway, and we're going to give away a Black Series figure from the Bad Batch that's called the Elite Squad Trooper, and I think these are the jerks that are going to hunt down the Bad Batch. And it's just basically a Phase 2 clone that's like charcoal gray and black. And basically all you got to do is you find that post in the Facebook group, comment anything on it, and we'll pick someone randomly from the people who commented on that, and we'll pick the winner on the 14th of May, which I think the 3rd episode comes out that day. But we'll remind people to enter on the next episode recap. But we'll do that. We're just mixing it up. We'll try something fun.
I like that, Chris. I like that, Chris. I'm going to share that on my show too, and I'll put that there on the social medias and stuff like that. That's pretty killer. Yeah, that's a good incentive, man. A cool Black Series figure. Good on you. I'll help with that.
I will help with that as well on my show, ZengThis.
Just means Zeng Wars.
No, it's twice a month, so it's not. I don't want to talk about it this time. But you mentioned
he got his plug. Hold on, that was his plug. He said the name of his show. He's talked about John Justice like 5 or 6 different times.
I still got to promote myself.
So check out at Unbelievers Podcast every week. Is a comedy show. Great stuff. This week we talked about Bigfoot hunter Tom Biscardi and all the BS he is up to. Unbelievers Podcast Patreon. Thank you so much. And why don't you get us out of here, Zach? Because I've got that old clip revved up, right and ready.
All right. Good night, but not goodbye. And as always,
Remember Alderaan! Down with the Empire!
Thank you, Luke.
Boom. Booyah.